Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. This question comes in from Authority Magazine. I was interviewed there quite some time ago and they wanted me to address this question in our YouTube channel, if memory serves. At least that's what my notes say. Can you share the most interesting story that occurred to you in the course of your career? The most interesting story that has occurred in my 30-year career in this business? Gosh, well, back in 1999, the world of writing was a lot different than it is now. Looking back at the vast array of changes that we've learned to adapt to has been, astounding when you think about it. I mean, back then, the literary specialists were crying wolf about these so-called new technologies like publish on demand and e-publishing and how it's going to ruin the world of, books and writing and literacy and all this stuff. And despite the resistance every time there's something new like that coming into the industry, now everyone is using that technology. There's always some resistance from some, sector. And, I suppose when you look at, the reasoning, some issues that they're raising are perfectly valid and are definite concerns that we need to be aware of with certain types of activities and new technologies and stuff. Otherwise, though, we need to embrace what's happening and, stop complaining and resisting and just say it is what it is and move forward from there. Now, uh, advice advice is something that should always be taken into consideration, but I've also learned to like do the research, ask the questions, but then do some trials, experiment with different angles of using that particular tool or resource or whatever and see if it suits my unique situation. Just because someone who writes in this genre who appears to be an expert, consultant or coach or whatever, they're saying, oh, you really need to do this. Some people might need to do that, but is it something that I need to do? So you have to really figure out what works for your unique situation, your unique personality, your unique availability, all that kind of stuff. Now, I remember when a traditional publisher, when that we were first working with, very, very early on in our career, and that traditional publisher absolutely insisted that we had to have a newsletter. And of course, you know, most gurus and coaches out there today still encourage that. And for some genres and for some people, it's a perfectly valid and absolutely vital tool. Uh, for our situation at the time, it ended up being a lot of time put into something for very little, if any, return on investment. And so after a few years, I ended up letting it go. I think it was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or whatever it was that I was running that newsletter. I actually don't remember, but something like that. And so there was a time I gave it the good try. I gave it the college try, tried the angles, did this, did that. And I did have a, quite a long email list, several thousands, but I just found working that same audience was just not the most effective use of my time. Now, if I was going to be writing in a series, like say, I don't know, regional romance, detective, spy thriller, I don't know, something, right? Then, and I plan on writing, 5 or 6 or 10 books and maybe some other off branch books off of that series or another series that's similar or within the same genre. If I have plans for that, then working that same audience then is definitely the key to do. But if I'm publishing uh, different topics in different genres and that kind of thing, keeping that list isn't going to be as an effective use of my time because my marketing book isn't going to necessarily appeal to the green living audience, and the green living audience and the marketing audience isn't going to necessarily appeal to the poetry audience. And so for me, I found that wasn't at the time, something I was gonna pursue, doesn't mean that I'm not gonna, pick it up again later on, and actually, we have plans of doing that, but later on. So, I think you have to learn how to play with these kinds of things. What I learned, I guess to reiterate or to say it another way, what I learned over time was that just because it's working for someone else, and they've been getting some great experiences, doesn't mean that it's gonna work for me in my situation at this moment in time. Uh, I did learn from a lot of the experience that, I was glad to have tried those things, like the things that didn't work or the things that I ended up letting go. Even if I loved doing it, I ended up letting it go because the return on the investment, which just wasn't there for me. Um, and that taught me to be really grateful for the experience, for the learning of that tool, for experiencing it, for experimenting with it, for being challenged by it and playing with it and having some successes with it. And then deciding, oh, I'm going to let that go for now, but maybe I'll pick it up later and later on for another project or another, time in my career. So I don't lament learning something that wasn't you know, a viable tool for me at that moment in time. I don't lament that. I don't go, oh gosh, what a waste of time, you know? No, because I learned a heck of a lot and I learned what wasn't going to work for me at that moment in time. And I learned to focus my energy on things that were going to give me more return on my on my invested time or energy or resources. And so you kind of have to make those calls as you go through your writing career or as your career as an entrepreneur. And, just because something worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work this year. Just because something didn't work this year doesn't mean it's not going to work, in a couple of years. So it depends on what stage you're at. Go ahead and experiment, try things out, go back, try them again, when you're ready to bring them back in. It's all about experimentation, having fun with the process and learning to be grateful for all that you're learning and experiencing, as opposed to like, or, it's taking things negatively. So I hope that helps you in your entrepreneurial journey. And we'll be back with a whole bunch more videos for you. You got to keep on coming back to this channel. Oh, you do. There is so much planned for the future, lots going on, so many questions that people have been submitting. It's been keeping me real busy at doing that, and I so appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for that.